Good morning. I hope you can hear me okay. Let me know before I start. Wow.
Heavy traffic reported ahead.
Okay, shut up, Waze. We don't want Waze talking to us in the middle, so I'm just turning off Waze. That is an amazing amount of people who just jumped in from the schedule. There were 78 people subscribed to this. That is amazing. Unfortunately, I'm competing with U2 right now. U2 is streaming right now on Meerkat, which is crazy amazing for Meerkat. Less amazing for me, but look, you guys are in, so you chose me over U2. I love you. Now, here's a little bit of a... before I start, let me just say that I will be... Meerkat will turn off the video and put me on audio only when I hit a dead spot in terms of my connectivity. Shoshana, I do not have a cold. I'm just hoarse. I'm always hoarse. And if I do disconnect the video, then I will try to wait a second till it comes back and then continue talking. But if I see that it's lasting a long time, then I'll just continue. I don't want you guys getting bored. So, wow. This is a little bit of a tricky topic because on the one hand, obviously I don't want to offend anyone, any VCs, and a lot of my friends are VCs. On the other hand, I do want to be, I try to help startups, and a lot of times startups go raise money and they have no idea what the heck the VC just said, or the investor, angel, whatever it is. You know, there's another whole language out there that VCs talk, and you have to be able to decipher what they're saying and understand and take away lessons. And so I thought I would address that. Every time I meet with a VC, I leave saying, oh my God, it's like another language. So I thought I would address that, but by no means do I mean to say that, VCs are tricking you or lying to you or misleading you. That's not what I mean. It's just when they say something, they mean something that means something else in your language. In other words, when they say something, they mean something, but to you, it means something else. And so I just want to clear up kind of this language a little bit, number one. And number two, I do want to say for those entrepreneurs out there that are watching, that have gone through this process and are thinking, who is this guy? What does he know? My hat's off to you. And I do not mean to in any way imply that I understand what you went through. I know it's a pain in the butt to raise money and very frustrating to get, 100 negative answers basically. So I hope this isn't offending you in any way, but it is an important topic for kind of newbie startups to just understand the language. We've been waiting for you, not you two. Thanks, Julie. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's start with, I guess, let's just do this chronologically, right? So you reach out to a VC and you send a deck. Let's just start with how to reach out to a VC. Or again, really, I mean, a lot of these rules apply to, it doesn't really matter if it's an angel or a VC or even sometimes journalists. It's always better to get an intro. I don't remember which one of the big VCs once tweeted or wrote, VCs do not want to meet people. VCs want to be introduced to people. Coming from a warm introduction of a friend of theirs or a colleague of theirs is always better. I honestly would tell you, if you need to reach investors, do not cold email them, ever. Really. There's always a way to get to them through someone that knows you both. That is the way to go, always. That's number one. Have an investor's deck, not a one-pager, a real presentation that addresses all the questions that a VC might have, with the goal being to get, a meeting, right? This is not for them to say, okay, I'll invest, here's a term sheet. It's to say, yes, I'll meet you, which means it's probably the most important thing in the process, right? The investor's deck. So before you reach out to an investor, make sure you have a very good investor's deck. If anybody wants some examples of investors' decks that I've seen over the years that are very good, I'm happy to do that with obviously the startup's permission, but I have a whole bunch of them that are very good, and I'm happy to send them to you. So just DM me or whatever. But make sure your investor's deck is good, because otherwise you ain't getting that meeting, and if without a meeting, you're not going anywhere. So remember, first we said get an introduction if you can, and prepare an amazing investor's deck. Catch. Sean, I did catch, I think. I did tweet catch, so hopefully I'll get this video afterwards and be able to share it. So far we're on video and we're all good. I hope it doesn't disconnect, but if it does, for those that just came in, I said before, if the video disconnects, then I'll hopefully just be able to pause for 1 second and stop talking so that when it comes back, people don't miss things. Fine, so we said get an intro, prepare an investor's deck. Now, you're going to send that email eventually to reach out. If you don't get an answer, relax, okay? And this is, again, at the risk of offending anyone. I don't mean anyone specific, and don't take this personally, but you have to understand, like, investors, by definition, get a lot of pitches, a lot of decks, a lot of emails every day. And so they're not going to answer you right away, generally speaking, unless, of course, your deck and your idea is so unbelievable to them. Chances are they won't answer you. They probably saw it, but they won't answer you right away. And relax, patience. If they don't answer you in 3 days, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. I would say 2 weeks is probably something wrong. Now, here's what I'm saying. If you don't get an answer in 2 weeks, I would say that's a nice cutoff point to know that you just failed at your job. You did not do a very good job pitching that investor. Of course, there's the option, the option that he or she missed that email. That's always an option, and hopefully that's the case. But if you don't get an answer in a matter of a few weeks, or definitely more, then I would say rethink your deck and rethink your strategy of reaching out, because you did not do a very good job. Or, worst case scenario, is rethink your whole concept. Maybe it's just a bad idea. And you have to always remember that that's an option. I think Meerkat has taught us all that sometimes you just have to go back to the drawing board and figure out, maybe redo stuff, maybe redeploy or relaunch a product. I'm not saying completely 100% like change, but look at Slack, right? It was a gaming company, and Flickr. You have to be able to adapt and learn lessons. So if you don't get an answer, that should imply something to you. And I mean, if you don't get an answer for a long period of time, that should say something to you. And again, rethink strategy. If you do get an answer, and by the way, I jotted down some notes here, kind of a list of things that I've heard that VCs have said to startups over the years. So I have it here on my laptop right next to me. That's why I'm looking. If I have to remember the things on the list. But let's if an investor says to you basically, thanks for the note or thanks for the email. Unfortunately, I'm fully booked till Q4. Let's talk about the speak to in a second, but I'm fully booked till Q4. Reach out again in Q4. It's not a good sign, right? Again, if you were an entrepreneur that blew him away or her away, and they were just wowed with your pitch, with your deck, or with your idea, they'd find time. And again, I'm going to keep saying this because I don't want to offend anyone. There are exceptions to the rule. I'm not saying there are VCs that are fully booked and they just cannot meet. But I'm going to talk generally speaking. I would say if you blew someone away and they were mad impressed with you, they would find time. If they're blowing you off till the next quarter and 2 quarters from now, again, not a good sign. And I would definitely go back to the drawing board and figure out what's wrong with my deck, what's wrong with my pitch, or maybe what's wrong with my product. There's that. So let's talk a little bit about the actual meeting. Because there's these things the VCs say in meetings that you hear and you gotta smile because it's so obvious that they don't mean what they're saying. So for example, I would say, who are your competitors, right? That's obviously a question you're gonna get. To me, that means, they want the answer, but are they asking you that because they want to know, the size of each one of your competitors? They want to do competitive analysis? No, they want to see that you came prepared to that meeting. And so if you come to a VC meeting, and again, 9 out of 10 times this is true, if you come to a VC meeting and he says or she says, who are your investors? And you say, I have none, that ended the meeting, honestly. Because this VC, all they want is for you to show that you did sufficient research and you're a serious person, and that you are aware that there are competitors, direct or indirect, or both, and you have them prepared on a slide. Here's the landscape, here's the XY, here's how we're different here. But if you come unprepared and they ask you that question and you don't have an answer, the meeting is pretty much over in 9 out of 10 cases. Check out pinterest.com/look for a Meerkat board. Thanks, Shari. Hey, Nir, good morning. Where am I? I am on my way to Tel Aviv. Good morning, Ryan. Where am I headed to? I'm going to WeWork. Where are you that it is still daylight? I'm in Israel. Good morning, Alicia. Okay, so yeah, there's that. Then there's the question that I'm generalizing, right? Life's about generalizations. Have you thought of joining an accelerator? Right? That question. Have you thought of joining an accelerator? It doesn't always mean this, but a lot of times what that means, to me at least, if a VC says that to you, is you need help. You're not there yet. You don't know how to take this company to the next level. You need someone to not hold your hand. And again, this isn't a derogatory thing. It's not a negative thing, but it actually is a good thing. It means this isn't a bad idea. I'm not telling you to go home. I'm telling you you're not exactly the right person, or you're not the only person that can help build this company. You need some hand-holding, So go to an accelerator. Should you be insulted if a VC says that to you? I don't think so, but it definitely does mean that you should beef up your, I don't know, team, or it's a good piece of advice. You know, if a VC says to you, why don't you join an accelerator, then you might want to consider joining an accelerator. Put on speaker and I drive and hear you. Sweet, Near, that's really cool. Saw you on my watch. Sweet, that's awesome. Okay, so we said, have you thought of joining an accelerator? I think that means that the VC might like your idea, but doesn't necessarily think you're the person or the only person needed to execute on this idea. So it's a good piece of advice in many cases, and I wouldn't be offended if someone says that to you. Who else is in your round? Who else is in your round? That's a question you're going to get a lot. A lot of VCs, you know, say, I'm not going to lead. And who else is in your round means to me, I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. Which brings me back to something I once said on Meerkat is you need a home run, right? Every startup needs a home run, whether it's your product, your traction, your investors, something has to be a home run. So what it means is I haven't heard your home run yet. Are your other investors a home run? Maybe if someone else big and joined the round, then maybe I'll join too. Kind of like, oh, they did the due diligence, then I want in also. It's kind of, it means to me, I'm on the fence. Who are your other investors? There are, guys, I'm going to keep saying it because I know that some people are going to join and hear me saying this out of context. They're going to say, oh, but it could also mean this. It can mean many things. I'm generalizing. I'm just giving kind of the way I see things. This is only my experience, and everyone, I know how the internet works. People are going to go, whatever. So I'm just saying, in my experience, that's what that means. It means I'm on the fence. I haven't heard your home run yet. I want to know who else is in the round so that I know that, I'm in good company, basically, right? Because people like to be in good company. And so that's a question you're going to get very, very often. And that's why you need to bring on good investors, I think, at the end of the day, because good investors bring on more good investors. And if you have good investors, then when someone says who else is in your round, when is the right time to go for investment? So that's a very interesting question. Obviously, that's kind of the same question as someone asked me yesterday. How much time should a brand spend on social media? It's like, dude, how much time should you spend at the doctor? Like, there's so many variables here that, determine the answer to that question. Depends what you're building. Depends what space you're in. It depends how much resources you have. I would say bootstrap as long as you can. I would say if you could build traction without raising external money, that will only impress your investors at a later stage and will only help you raise money when the time comes. But if you can't, and you can't raise from family and friends, and you need money, you can't do anything, then I would say at least build a prototype and a working product so that you can show it working, and then raise money. But I would say Gary Vee said he invests in executions and operations and not necessarily the idea. Do you agree? Shari, everyone has their own, I'm not an investor, but everyone has their own investment kind of like nature. I think Gary Vee also invests in ideas, but Gary Vee's Gary Vee. What can I tell you? So sometimes VCs will say we're at the end of our fund, so we're really just using the rest of our money, the rest of our capital to deploy like follow-on investments. But in our next fund, we would consider new investments. It's not good. It's not good news when you hear that. Raising another fund can take a year, 2 years, whatever. It could take anything, 6 months. So you could pretty much write off that invest. Like, that's not going to happen. If they say that to you, it basically means like, I'm not sold. Like, I like you. I don't hate you, right? Because then he would say something else. I don't hate the idea. I don't think it's a bad idea, but I don't like you enough to actually invest right now. Yes, it could be that they're at the end of the fund. I'm not saying they're lying, right? No one's implying anyone's lying to you here. But if I'm at the end of my fund and I meet, whatever, I don't know, whoever it is, probably not Mark Zuckerberg, because I met with an amazing investor yesterday, and he was telling me how he invests in growth companies. And you offer investors other than equity. I mean, you have to explain what you mean in terms of other than equity. I mean, that's the way equity, that's the way VCs work, right? So there are other models, but it's not as mainstream. Keep me posted on your progress. Keep me posted on your progress means no. I mean, VCs are human beings. They don't want to be mean to you, so they're not going to say get out of my office. But that means get out of my office. Keep me posted on your progress means have a nice day, not interested, I think. 30 VCs in here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's 9 out of 10 cases, or 9.5 out of 10 cases. Keep me posted on progress means no. Like a flat out no. It means we're not investing, right? That doesn't mean to say that if you gain insane amounts of traction, I'm not going to invest. But right now, as you sit in front of me, I'm not interested in investing. Keep me posted on your progress. So here's something that I've heard too many VCs say, and this I will say is derogatory. I don't know anything about the space, so let's see where the space develops, and then maybe we could invest. Meaning, when the space takes off, then I'll invest. That to me means that is a VC that's not doing their job. Like, your job is to take risk, right? Your job isn't to invest in a startup that's fully mature and is a proven, unless you're growth, that you're investing in late stage companies. I'm talking about earlier stage, whatever it is. Your job is to take risk. Your job is to know the market. So if you don't know the market, then do the research and learn the market. And don't say, I can't invest because, let's see how the market plays out. That actually is one of the more upsetting answers I've heard VCs tell startups. Let's wait till the market plays out. Once the market plays out, I don't need you anymore. Then it's too late. So that is a bad answer for a VC to give. Nothing about investing, but a clear, easily understood idea is a good starting point for getting VC, of course. So yeah, here's something that you're gonna get all the time, right? No matter who you are, it's always gonna be not enough traction. Really, even growth, they want more. Point is, come back with more traction. Depends who the VC is, right? If it's a VC that's really, really nice and doesn't want to offend, he might say that, or she might say that as a no. Basically, no, come back with more traction. Which would mean your traction would be your home run. Sometimes they really mean it, though. Sometimes they mean, I like this idea, but I need proof of concept. I need proof that market fit. I need to know that the market really needs this thing. I mean, I met with someone yesterday, and I'm not going to mention names, but I had a really smart guy who I really, really like, a friend of mine, and he's like throwing ideas at me that and I literally said to him, but why are you doing that? That's not a good idea. I don't need that. Like, it doesn't matter what it was. It was basically sending an SMS instead of making a phone call for something specific. I'm not going to get into it, but I was like, so instead of making a phone call, I'm sending an SMS. It's the same difference, and that happens once in a lifetime. So sometimes you need to prove that there's an idea that the market actually needs, and that means come back with traction, because if it's traction, that means the market needs it, wants it, and so people like it, and that's a legitimate answer, by the way. I mean, I don't think that's in any way offensive. It shouldn't be offensive, but it definitely doesn't, it means no for now, basically. That's what that means. Come back with traction. Run rate. Let me see what else I wrote down here. Yeah, so, I mean, we like to follow a lead. A lot of times, investors don't lead rounds. I think that actually means what it means. Like, there are VCs that I know of, very good VCs, that will join rounds. They'll put in a lot of money, but they won't lead. I don't know. What do you guys think the reason for that would be? Why a VC would put in $3-4 million won't lead the round? I don't know. I'm not really sure exactly why they do that. Maybe just they don't want to be, their name so front and center. Maybe, I don't know. But that I hear a lot for sure. It means what it means. It just means bring in another investor and we'll invest. Maybe it could also mean we want, like we said before, pausing again. I want to talk a little bit about the question of barrier and protection. I'll talk about that in a second. Oh, look, couldn't find you too. Social proof validation. Yeah. Hey, Roz, good morning. Roz jumped in. So what do you think about hedge funds making VC type deals like Carl Icahn's $100 million deal with Lyft? I'm waiting for video to come back so that I could, there you go, I'm back. Yeah, I mean, validation in general is a legitimate request, guys. This is a VC or an angel or whatever it is that's giving you their money, right? They want validation that this works. Maybe they're not a market expert and they really want to know that the market, needs such a thing. I'm telling you, if I had a dime for every time I heard an idea that, like, I literally said to the entrepreneur, but why? Like, why are you creating a Yelp for dog owners? I don't understand. The market does not need that. And too often the entrepreneur doesn't have a reason. Like, why not? No, that's not. You don't build a company because why not? So, validation's a legitimate request completely. What do you think about hedge funds making VC type deals? From what perspective? What are you asking? Like, hedge fund, obviously, if you have value to bring to the table, then it doesn't matter if it's trying to wait till video comes back. I don't know why this happens, but on my way to Tel Aviv, and this happens too often. What else? Guys, what else? What other catchphrases have you heard VCs say? What else is there? Oh, I want to talk about protection and barrier, right? Let's wait till video comes back. Hi, Sherry. Sherry, is that you pronounce your name? Hi there, good morning from Israel. I'm waiting for video. There you go, I'm back. Really important point. When a VC asks you what the barrier is, meaning why can't anyone just do this? I really don't think it means what you think it means. Like, the answer of we have IP, we have patents is, as Guy Kawasaki once said, it is a really idiotic answer. I mean, why do you need video? I don't need video, but when it comes back from video to audio, it cuts off. So I just wanted to wait till there's video. The IP answer is idiotic in 2015, to be honest. Like, if Samsung steals your technology, what are you going to do? You're going to go litigate against Samsung for 6 months and $5 million? No, you won't. You're a startup. You can't do that. So the only thing IP is valuable for, in my opinion, is maybe an acquisition. But, to say that I'm protected because I have IP is a stupid, stupid answer. And if you go to a VC and you say, and he asks, why can't anyone just copy you? Say, because I have IP is really not a good answer. I think the right answer to that, and again, Jacob, you can tell me if you disagree. The right answer to, what's the barrier here? Why can't anyone copy you? Is because of execution. Like, to say, we're first to market, irrelevant, right? Apple wasn't first to market with anything they did. To say we're going to execute better shows that you're confident, shows that you believe in what you're doing, and it's fine. Let them copy, but we're going to execute better. I think that's at the end of the day the model that works. To answer IP is a wrong answer. IP protects nothing. Again, I know too many examples of big companies stealing technology, and what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do about it. So IP is good to have for, like, maybe one day, Motorola got acquired because of their patents, by Google. It's valuable. I'm not saying, don't have patents if it's something that you have patent that's patentable, but to go to a VC and say, my barrier is that I have 10 patents, in my opinion, that's not the right answer. What's your go-to-market strategy? Good morning from New York. Good morning, Alex. Dependability. Okay, good AM. Hey, Jeff. So what's your go-to-market strategy? That's obviously needs to be part of your deck. But listen, at the end of the day, that's the big question, right? And for every one company that gains traction, real traction, there's 5 million that don't. So I don't think any VC expects you to show them a foolproof plan of how you're going to gain traction and become the next Facebook. And in general, by the way, just general. Oh, man. All right, I'm waiting to come back here. What's my background? Isn't saying we will execute better too vague a statement? Chesky, of course it's a vague statement. Of course you have to elaborate on that. But that should be the foundation. It shouldn't be IP. I'm waiting to come back to video so that it doesn't skip here. Morning, Uri. I don't know if you guys can hear me. It says audio only. Here on the main highway on the way to Tel Aviv. And yeah, interruptions, I know, man. I don't know. I wish there was a way to avoid this. I could always do Meerkats when I get there and just stand still and do it, but I don't know. This is good. I have this time in the car and I like to do it this way. So, oh, there you go, I'm back. Yeah, of course it's a vague statement to say I'm going to execute better, right? That's vague and naive also, but you have to elaborate on that. But to say, we have patents in 2015, 99% of the cases, that's just irrelevant in my opinion. What's your go-to-market strategy? I think you need to elaborate. I think kind of like I don't mean to go to a negative topic, but like in war, there's there's the Air Force, there's the water, and there's the land. There's you're attacking from all different directions, and that's what That's what I like to compare your marketing and go-to-market strategy. You should really be attacking from all directions, right? How I'm going to use social, how I'm going to use, even advertising, and how I'm going to use product. How's the product going to sell itself, right? Whatever. I don't want to use the buzzwords, but the viral, inherently forget that crap. But I'm just saying, easy to share. If there's a hook, people can't use it alone. There's ways to make, a product, become, I don't forget the word viral, but become popular. So yeah, if you show an investor that you thought of this, seriously thought of this, and you have an answer and it's attacking from all directions, then I think that's a legitimate answer, by the way. So I was saying, I had a call last night with a guy that I respect and I really, really like, and he was like, I spoke to business analysts, I have the next $1 billion idea, one of the big companies is gonna pick me up, and he pitched me fully, passionately, and with a straight face, social commerce, social e-commerce. Like, he was the only company in the world to do social e-commerce. He's like, I'm going to build a platform for, shopping, but integrate social. And again, not a bad idea. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but he knew nothing of the 50,000 companies trying to do it. To me, and I love the guy, don't get me wrong, and he's probably going to watch this afterwards or watching it now, and so I hope he's not offended. He's a super nice guy, and I'm not in any way judging. He doesn't work in tech, he works in music, and so, but I'm just saying, to me, if I was a VC and you'd come to me and you'd say something like that and you would not know of how hot and saturated the space is, to me that's like the end of the meeting. It's like, dude, like you're wasting my time basically, right? You didn't do any research before you came here, and that's something I think that every entrepreneur needs to do. And I talk about this all the time, so I'm not going to go over that, but what else did the VCs say? I want to watch from the sidelines, right? VCs say that. I want to watch from the sidelines. That is a flat out no. That's like, get out of my office. I do not want to continue this conversation. Absolutely not. Either a dumb idea or I don't like you or whatever it is, but I want to watch from the sidelines means no. That is literally an equal sign to no, I'm not investing. Ariana will get you if you don't get your rest. We can hear you. So many interruptions. Sorry about that. What do you do once your idea has been stolen? You execute faster. Guys, seriously, I mean, the whole concept of NDAs in 2015 and the whole concept of, confidentiality, I think is, in my opinion, almost with very few exceptions, irrelevant. You're not going to be the only person doing something. Just do it better, do it faster. And if it gets stolen, then just execute better. There's no way to, prevent people from, everything's open. Everything's out there, Let's see who else has comments here. Does it help to answer with a husky voice? New here, what's your background? My background is, I don't know. I started off as a technical writer that wrote documents for, SMS systems, and this was back in the day. I worked for a company called Converse, with an M, not Converse, the sneakers, that basically invented voicemail and made the visual voicemail for the first iPhone. And then I transitioned into marketing, been working in marketing and mobile mainly for the past 7-8 years. I blog for several authoritative sites like the Huffington Post and Mashable and Business Insider and the Next Web and a few others. And I just have thoughts. That's it. No, I definitely want to emphasize again, like I did in the beginning, I haven't IPO'd, I haven't exited, I haven't, but I have met a lot of investors, and I meet investors all the time, and so I have some thoughts on the topic. But you're more than welcome to take it or leave it. By no means am I saying that I'm the end all of whatever. But that's just my experience. It's just very important to state this is just my experience. Let's see what else we got here. Does comeback mean don't let the door hit you on your way out? Does comeback really mean come back? If VC says to you come back and he actually puts you in touch with his assistant or secretary and schedules a meeting, then that's a good sign. That's only a good sign. I don't think that's I think that's a good thing. If you get another meeting, you're in good shape, I think, generally speaking. What else did I write down here? I jotted some notes down. When you have traction is the most common kind of not now, basically. I'm getting off the highway now, by the way, on my way to WeWork Tel Aviv, and I know there's a dead spot, so I might disconnect the video in a minute or two, but I'll come right back. Phone call, and it knocks you off when you get a phone call. That's super annoying. One of the most important aspects of building a startup. All right, same guy calling me back. I'm going to be at WeWork in 2 minutes, but if you guys have Still audio only. I don't know why it's taking so long to come back this time. Audio only is taking a very long time this time. It's very annoying. Well, meanwhile, if you have any questions or comments or whatever, definitely. Sorry to sound like a newbie. Does startup pertain to any business? I think these are general principles. This is great stuff, Hillel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm just sharing some. So, I don't think there's a rule book of this stuff. I mean, every VC is different. You need to know your audience, and that's, in general, kind of lesson. But you need to know, you need to speak their language a little bit. It's a little bit of a different language, and that's fine. Traction means right now it's not relevant for us. One of the annoying things that I talked about before is when VCs say, I want to see how the market plays out. That's your job, is to know the market. Your job is not to wait till the market matures. It's to take this risk. So that's a little bit of an annoying answer that I don't like when VCs say, but just my opinion. Generally speaking, though, as an entrepreneur, it's your job to make sure that you come to this meeting prepared, fully prepared. Do the research. Don't just have an idea and then go to a VC. Obviously, generally speaking, if you have an idea, VC won't see you anyway. But make sure you do the research, and then when you're done researching, research some more, because you're not going to get anywhere without research. Anyway, guys, that's all for now. I am going to be doing some interview right now with something called Startup Camel at Zula headquarters in 5 minutes. So that should be interesting. Stay tuned for that. I'll share that. Hillel, do you ever make it out to New York City for business? I really miss New York. I was just talking about it this morning. I'm from New York originally, if you didn't know. I really miss it, and I really want to come visit. Seriously want to come visit. I guess he doesn't know when it doesn't reconnect. Yeah, Ariana, I don't know. It's hard to Periscope do this too. It's not the app, guys. I'm driving, and driving conditions, it goes in and out. That's just the way things work. So that's why I'm disconnected. I apologize for that. But Hillel, say the meeting went well and both sides are genuinely interested. What's next until the funds are actually raised? What do you mean? In other words, if a VC says yes, but they don't have the funds, or you're saying they say yes, they have the funds, I would say, try to get that next meeting, try to move it forward. That's the bottom line. VCs that say yes, we're interested, we're gonna move forward, and they don't move forward, that's just wrong. Obviously, I think that generally speaking, at least in my experience, VCs are, I shouldn't say whatever. Some VCs treat entrepreneurs well, some treat them less well and drag them along. But if you get a yes, which is not very often that you get a yes in the first meeting, best case scenario, you get another meeting. But if they say we're going to meet again and they don't respond, then I nag, in a polite and not annoying but persistent manner. That's kind of the balance that you need to know as an entrepreneur, which leads me to my next point, and I'm going to end here, is don't be confrontational as an entrepreneur. Don't be confrontational. Don't be defensive. I get it. This is your baby, and it's easy for me to say, but this is your baby, and I get why you're offended to get so many no's and to not be treated with the respect that you think you deserve, and you do deserve. But being defensive and burning bridges and being confrontational and aggressive is not going to get you anywhere. So don't do that. You need to be pleasant, and if you're not that person, then hire someone to help you fundraise who is pleasant to be around in the room and will make a pleasant and enjoyable conversation, because that's really what it's all about. If you have a bad vibe and it's just like not a good dynamic, that you're not getting anywhere. That's the bottom line. Even if a VC doesn't invest in people, they need that aspect. In other words, some VCs really, they say we invest in people, some do, some don't. But even the ones that don't won't invest if there's not good people. And if there's not a good dynamic and there's not good chemistry in the room, then that's not going anywhere. So make sure that you're easygoing and you're enjoyable and you're nice to be in, good conversation, and don't be aggressive and confrontational, because that ruins everything. And that is all for now, folks. I am approaching WeWork, so I'm going to go. Thank you all so much. How many people came in here? 217 people. Holy cow, I love it. What's the most professional way to get a meeting with a VC? You missed that in the beginning. The most professional way to get a meeting with a VC is get an introduction through someone that VC likes and respects. And there's always such a person. You can always reach that person. So get to that person. Do not cold pitch. I mean, you can, but it's going to be less effective by definition. So try to get an intro. VCs like to be introduced to people, not just like anyone else, by the way. If you're trying to meet someone, it's always better to get an introduction. If there's anybody I can help, by the way, if there's any VCs that I know, and you can look up on my Pinterest board, and all my whole network's on my Pinterest board that I have. I have a Pinterest board called Innovators Who Inspire. So feel free to look at that. If there's anybody I can make an intro to, do let me know. All right, guys, thanks again for coming in. I'm going to hang up right now because I'm going underground. Thanks for the information. You're very welcome. Hello, do you ever make it out to New York? I wish. I guess he doesn't know when it doesn't. Yeah, all right, guys, I got to run. So have a good one. Thanks again. Have a great day.